When's the last time you've seen one of these? The technology behind rabbit ear antennas is making a comeback, much to the chagrin of broadcast companies with signals that can be tuned in over the air. The internet startup Aereo rents out a mini version of the old-fashioned antennas. For $8 a month, subscribers can watch live broadcasts on their smartphones, tablets, or computers, or record TV shows to watch later. The major networks are fighting back against the internet startup, arguing Aereo violates their copyright on programming. Today, that fight reached the United States Supreme Court. This is being called the biggest television case in 30 years, with the potential to change TV forever. Here to explain its significance is Kyle Alspach. He's a senior staff writer for Beta Boston. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, what's at stake here? If Aereo wins, people are still going to tune in and watch a lot of broadcasts. Not everybody's going to get this $8 a month antenna. What's at stake?
The broadcasters are worried that their business model is really going to take a hit if Aereo does win. The reason being that there wouldn't theoretically be anything stopping the cable companies from doing something like what Aereo is doing. Instead, right now, the cable companies are paying billions of dollars a year to the broadcasters in order to be able to get these network TV channels. If they start doing the same thing that Aereo is doing, they could save on all that money. That would potentially hurt the ability of the broadcasters to produce new content.
Mm-hmm. So the beauty of this system is you're time shifting. You can download it wherever you want on your phone or whatever. You're not slave to a television. Is that
right.
the idea?
Yeah, you don't have to have a television. I don't have a television, and so if I want to watch something live on broadcast TV, I watch on Aereo.
Do the broadcasters have a point? Is this theft of copyrighted material?
I mean, it all depends on how you look at it. It's a very confusing case because really, how you look at it is going to affect so much. The broadcasters do have copyrights to their content. What the Supreme Court is trying to figure out is, is this a violation or is this just, another case of something going online that wasn't going online before? A
redistribution. Well, interestingly, some of the questions that the Supreme Court justices were asking today made it sound like this is going to be a far more reaching, more complicated case than a simple copyright infringement.
Right. So there's lots of companies that are worried about what happens if Aereo loses, such as Google and Apple and other folks like that who have based their businesses around something like what Aereo does in a way, in the sense that they're storing your data and your applications in the cloud, as they say, remotely. You're not storing it on your computer. Apple and Google are worried that if they say Aereo can't do this, then they're going to potentially erode what Google and Apple can do.
Every big technological wave comes with its threats. I can remember back in the early 80s when cable was first getting going, having the owners of Channel 5 say that it was going to put them out of business. I mean, is there a way that actually the broadcasters could use this to their advantage? I mean, eventually the broadcasting industry changed the cable situation to their advantage.
I think that's a really good point. I think that a lot of these things in the past, the VCR and cable, as you mentioned, were seen as threats at first, and they ended up being a boon to the broadcast networks and eventually. And the same thing could happen with Aereo, because basically Aereo is allowing you, the viewer, to tune in when maybe you weren't tuning in at all before. If you don't have a television,
exactly.
Maybe you're not watching the broadcast shows live and you're not seeing that advertising. The networks can claim you as one of their viewers for advertising purposes if you watch it on Aereo.
That's a good point, because there's no way to fast forward through the advertising. Am I right?
There is if you've stored it with your DVR that it comes. I mean, it's not, you don't get a DVR, but you can use a DVR-like service on it. You can do that, but you still count for advertising purposes in that case, just like you would if you had a physical DVR in your home.
Mm-hmm. So what's your prediction on the outcome of this?
I haven't heard anyone say with any confidence one way or the other. The Supreme Court today, expressed a lot of doubts about both sides. So, it's really, really hard to tell.
I'm not going to go out on that limb either. All right, Kyle Alspach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.